I would like to call this public hearing to order for the purpose of receiving citizens' comments on the county's advertised real estate tax of 89 cents per 100 of excess value, which is the current real estate tax rate. Due to the 2015 reassessment, the rate does not represent a 1 cent increase. A second public hearing on the advertised fiscal year 15-16 budget will be held at 6:45 or at the close of the first hearing. I will call the name of a speaker and the next speaker on the list, who should both come forward to the podium and be prepared to speak. State your name and address, and you have a total of 5 minutes to address the board. Please use the microphone when speaking. Please direct your comments to the chair and the members of the board, not to the audience or staff. This is our time to listen to you. We will not be answering questions during these hearings. We ask the audience to refrain from clapping or commenting between speakers so that we may clearly hear the next speaker. Please leave any written statements with our clerk. If you plan to speak and have not signed in at the table in the lobby, please do so at this time. So our first speaker on the tax rate would be Mr. Richard Workman.
I'm Richard Workman. I live at 212 Pine Drive in Blacksburg, Virginia. I just have a couple comments. I would like to thank the supervisors for passing a budget last year without a rate increase. We did fine. We didn't have a rate increase, and I don't think services were affected that much, and government workers got an increase. As I understand it, the 89 cents does not indicate a rate increase. Actually, we will have an increase in our total payments for property with the real estate assessment that was done this past year. We need to look at, I hate to say this again, the budgets are getting so large, particularly the school budget is growing so much each year. To determine these rate increases, it would be good to get some consultants to look at this. The categories that you look at, as I understand it, are just 5 categories. Actually, a budget this large should be a line item review of the budget. But if we could just look at last year's budget and try to live with that, that got us through the year. And Christiansburg and Blacksburg citizens are also facing a proposed 3 cents increase in their taxes. So when you look at 89 cents and 3 cents, our rates are approaching some of the Northern Virginia rates. So if we can kind of slow down government growth and look at these budgets a little closer, I think maybe we can do without these increases. So I appreciate your listening. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's anyone in the audience who did not get an opportunity to sign up to speak on the real estate tax rate issue, you may come forward and speak at this time.
And Mr. Chair, I just want to mention again that with the reassessment, the revenue neutral rate would be 88 cents. So by advertising 89 cents, it does represent a 1 cent tax increase. And you pointed that out, Mr. Workman. Thank you.
Well, seeing no one coming forward, we'll close the first public hearing and move on to the second public hearing. That is,
And we have to wait until 6:45 for that one
okay. Well,
because we legally advertise.
well, yeah, that's right, to be in time, yeah, whatever. It's 6:45, so.
So we have a 9-minute recess.
So we have a 9-minute recess?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, 9-minute recess. Hey, one thing. Oh, board members, recess is over. The second public hearing that I spoke about earlier is on the advertised budget. And we have two citizens who have signed up to speak on the budget, and the first one is Connie Froggatt.
Thank you, Mr. Brown, Mr. Meadows, and board members. I also turned in a handout for you with 12 copies. I'm Connie Froggatt. I reside at 1751 Brush Mountain Creek Road. I am the AP coordinator for Blacksburg High School and also the legislative liaison for the Blacksburg High School PTSO and past president. Many of you received an email today from our current president, Andrea Muscatello, and she was unable to be here tonight, but I would just like to reiterate some of the things she said and build on those. First of all, we would like to thank you for your continued support of Montgomery County Public Schools. In particular, we support the $1.9 million you have proposed to give to the school system this coming year, as well as the tax rate to help support us. We also agree that it's time for our state to step back up to the plate. They are responsible for these major cuts, and it's time they made good and came back and returned a lot of those funds. Just to give you an idea of what the impact of some of these cuts have been, I just want to go over a few things. Last year, Montgomery County Public Schools lost 11 positions. 4.5 of those were absorbed by Blacksburg High School, representing 41% of the cuts, even though we represent only 13% of our total student body. Some of the things cut, for example, computer science was completely eliminated from Blacksburg High School in a time when science, technology, engineering, mathematics, or STEM is one of the biggest career opportunities on our horizon. Last year, over 90 kids were denied an art class because we lost an art teacher, and we expect that to go up next year, or this coming year, as they register to as much as 150. In addition, we will be receiving a projected 41 additional students next year, or 328 student seats, with little or no chance of additional staff. And we have teachers who are already approaching the legal limit for how many students they can teach. Employee morale is at an all-time low, and that is starting to drastically affect turnover in our schools. Last year, 9 teachers either retired or resigned from Blacksburg High School. This year, we already have 1 that's retired, 2 that have announced their resignation, and 1 that took a job in central office. And we really haven't even begun the contract process for next year. At this time, I'd like to refer you to a handout. You may recognize this slide. I saw it a few weeks ago at one of your meetings. It was presented by the gentleman speaking about the Fieldstone Affordable Housing Project. I apologize for the quality. I had to pull it off of your YouTube video because it wasn't a public presentation. But I'd like to bring attention to the fact that what he has listed there are the kinds of employees who would be receiving this subsidized housing. And you notice that every position listed on there is a public service job. Things like police, teachers, custodians, and the like. And you'll notice that the very first one is a teacher with a master's degree sitting at step 7. That's the equivalent of about 9 years of service, of experience. So what that is saying is that a teacher who is in a one-income family supporting a family of 4 would have to live in subsidized housing to live in Blacksburg. And the same is true for a lot of our public service employees. These are the people who are molding our future. They are building our children. We are putting a lot of faith and responsibility on them. And we expect them to live in subsidized housing. I just want you to think about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Marty Graham.
Hi, good evening, Chairman Brown and members of the board, and Mr. Meadows. As you know, I'm the District E School Board member, a new member on the board. So I feel honored to be able to speak to you this evening. Again, like Connie, I'm going to speak about the budget for this year. First, I'd like to thank you for your ongoing support for Montgomery County Public Schools. And thank you, Mr. Meadows, for your recommendation to give an additional 1.9 to our schools. The MCPS budget for 2014-2015 school year was the same amount of money that MCPS had in the budget in 2008. That was 7 years ago, and we all know that the same amount of money will not purchase the same services and products in 2015. The state revenue is $7 million below what it was in 2008-2009. There have been no cost of living or inflation adjustments to our revenue in the last 5 years. In the past 4 years, you have helped by filling the void of the school's loss of state funds and state federal unfunded mandates, such as the VRS funding that is now the responsibility of the local school systems, and addressing our facility needs, which we greatly appreciate. As stated in your last school board meeting, the state needs to be accountable for the loss of funds, not just to Montgomery County, but to all the state schools. The state cuts have greatly impacted the situation we're in. Some of the gap has also been filled by the school board by cutting positions, delaying bus purchases, reducing school supply budgets, decreasing field trips, and just doing business differently. As Connie mentioned, we have had a great amount of staff loss, which includes support staff, teachers, and administrators. The loss of teachers greatly affect the class sizes and the ability of teachers to provide one-on-one instruction and detect any individual student problems such as learning disabilities, not understanding the material, as well as the overall quality of education the teachers are able to provide to the student. A lot of these teachers work extra jobs to make ends meet. I would like to encourage you to expedite the sale of the school surplus property. I just learned today that there is a bid out on the Junkin Street, so thank you. So we also need to get the former BMS and the former BHS sold. So as we talked about in our joint meeting, I know it's hard, but it would be great if you guys could once again take the lead and be able to push the town of Blacksburg to get those properties, have a proposal approved and the property sold, because we desperately need to handle our overdue needs in the Christiansburg Strand. And this, certainly the sale of these properties would make a small dent in moving that forward. Please also consider the $775,000 that the school board has requested to satisfy the needs in the capital expenditures in the MCPS budget. In conclusion, I would like to thank you for your previous support and to encourage you to approve Mr. Meadows' recommendation with no reductions and provide support for funding the capital expenditures. The future of our students' education is in your hands. Thank you.
Thank you. That completes the citizens that we have signed up to speak on the budget. If it's anyone in the audience who would like to address the board at this particular time on the budget, you can do so at this time. Okay, so that we'll complete our public hearing on the budget. So seeing no one come forward, we will close that public hearing.
Mr. Chair, if I could just add, we will have a budget work session as part of our board meeting on Monday evening. And then we do have a special meeting to consider adoption of the budget and the tax rate scheduled for Monday, April 20th, and that meeting will begin at 7:15.
And I'll say this anyway, but you know the Junction Street property sold,
Yes, we saw
$155,000.
one more off the list.
One more off the list. I guess I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We adjourn.